Hey, everybody that's watching this on the replay, and for those who are going to catch this on YouTube, thank you for joining. We're going to talk today about I am that I am. We're going to talk about how to see intuitively, a little bit of sacred geometry, a little bit of quantum, but a lot of encouragement in this time of energy to be who you are, nobody else but you. And so we wait a minute for people to get on. I'm Deborah Westbrook, and we'll be starting in just a minute. I titled this I Am That I Am, because you never really move out in the essence of who you are. You never manifest from someone other than you are. Now, you can manifest from spiritual ego. You can manifest from ego all the time, but that's never really going to fulfill you. So we're going to talk today about certain things, and I'm going to extend this into two topics. So I hope you can hear me. Let me know if you can. I'll start in a minute. It is like cold in California. Man, it's cold. Hey, Tenderheart. It's like I know some of you must be feeling there's like some major cold weather across the United States. And it's got to be because we're getting the high of 42 during the day, which is really, that's kind of cold for us. Like we could drop to the 30s and 40s sometimes at nights here. But you kind of know it's really cool here. So it's got to be. It's very brisk and a lot of fog rolling in. So, I feel for you guys. I kind of like the snow. I'm not quite sure I'd want to live in it again. But you know what? Yeah. I know someone just wrote Tenderheart and said that in Tennessee it's like in the 70s. That's so strange because we're really getting cold weather here. So give me a minute to start. I'm going to talk in process today, and this is, I love these. I love what I'm bringing forth, and I'm just doing them as I'm prompted to do that. I say that all the time. So we're going to get started in just a minute. And for those catching on the replays, welcome. I'm glad you're here, and I hope that you get something from this. So let's get started. I don't want to wait too long. This is an open-ended Facebook Live, and what I mean by that is I'm speaking from the midst of journey. So when these Facebook Lives end, it's not that you're going to get a detailed plan of where to start, where to end. It's not linear. We're speaking intuitively. We're speaking from the heart so that you can capture some things that are resonating with you in your energy, and you will take those things and you will run with them to develop your own life. I've decided to do this in process. I'm not going to do this as a teacher so much as I'm being led to bring forth who I am. And who I am is what I'm studying and what I'm listening to. And boy, I tell you, it takes the pressure off to perform in any way. You just bring forth who you are. I prepare a lot, I study, but this is innately coming from within me. So I'm growing as I'm speaking the message. So these Facebook Lives are in process of a journey. So I'm discovering my reason for being in this incarnation for such a time as this, and I'm walking through what I am teaching. So as I'm challenging people, I'm challenging myself to learn as I grow without clear answers. So it's a moving out. So each time I speak, an open door is simply presented before you to explore. To take the things I'm saying and what resonates with you, you go ahead and you learn from them and you grow from them. And I'm just putting it all out there. So today, when I spoke last week on Jeremiah and he was asked the question, what do you see? Well, I realized that rather than proclaiming to you that I just see everything I'm walking into, I really don't. It's like I'm standing on the edge of a wide open field and I'm looking at the horizon. I was at the beach the other day and I was taking pictures, and it hit me that I am standing, and it goes forever. Like the Pacific seems to stretch on forever, and it seems like I don't really always have a path in front of me at times. It's just an invitation to step out, which is being lit up by my curiosity. So as I step out, I look at the horizon and I keep walking. So right now I had to ask myself the question, well, what am I seeing? Why am I here? What am I walking into? And I realized I really didn't have an answer. That when I spoke last week about what Jeremiah saw, when God said, this is good what you say, I'm going to perform my word, Jeremiah knew that that was the call that was innate in his being before he ever came to the earth realm. So I was sitting in meditation one day, and I knew that in order to see, I had to activate within me what's within me before I can activate a movement or a manifestation going forth. So I started looking at some of the verses before when God asked Jeremiah in the book of Jeremiah, what did you see? And what I discovered is that God was challenging him on all the innate vibrations and the energy and the being and the essence that he had put within Jeremiah before the foundations of the earth. That Jeremiah was formed in God, in the energy field, in source, before he ever incarnated into the earth. So you don't have to search for something to do. It is innately in you. So the discovery of what you're going to manifest in this time, in your incarnation, will flow from the innate reality of who you are. It won't go the other way. You won't create from someone else's energy. You won't create from who you're not. You create from the I am. So it was essential that God spoke into Jeremiah's life the essence of who he was before Jeremiah moved out and what he felt was his purpose for being in the earth. And I think that we overlook that, and that causes people to procrastinate or move in fear, or they're saying to the Lord exactly what Jeremiah said. I can't do this. I'm a youth. So they put all the negative connotations rather than realizing who I am has been within me. I came to earth full, complete, brilliant, and innocent. And my journey is a discovery of what is innately in me. So I try to find it through a linear understanding. You won't find it through a linear understanding. You have to go within in times of silence and meditation, and you have to see what makes you tick. What's your passion? What is the foundational aspects of your I am? I am curious. I am adventurous. That's inherent in my DNA. So I'm going to produce or create from the essence of who I am. So here's what God said to Jeremiah before he said, what do you see? Now, this is really important because what he saw was dependent on grasping the essence of who he was created to be. So he says to Jeremiah, now don't think of this as in duality. This was going on within Jeremiah. This inner self, this true self, was being asked a question, and he was hearing within himself, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you as a prophet to the nations. Well, what did this mean? And how do we look at this allegorically? How do we look at this through quantum? How do we look at this through sacred geometry? So I'm going to go slow because I'm on a journey. When you join me on this journey, you're joining me in process. So take what you need and study. So let me go slow because I'm going to extend this out for several weeks. So the word formed, I had to remove this story completely from any religious, literal connotations. And I had to look at it through a lens of energy, through a lens of resonance, which I do. So you have to understand, this is where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from a literal interpretation. Yes, I know what Jeremiah was going to face with the oncoming wars, but that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this call upon Jeremiah that beat in his heart to the degree that he would not abandon it no matter what came his way. He even bought a field in the midst of an advancing army. Why was that? Because he was seeing with a greater realm of vision and a greater realm of purpose outside of his five senses. Who does that? You're going to buy a field when the army is advancing and it's going to destroy you? Well, that right there should teach us a lesson to deny the narrative that's out there and don't listen to what anything is being said that brings up fear, and listen intuitively through your heart, through your gut. We'll talk about that, to hear what it is you're supposed to hear, and you may be doing something contrary to what the world is doing right now. And that is living in an intuitive sense. So what does the word formed mean? Well, it is divine activity that is preordained. It is the divine activity, the innate essence of your DNA, the internal reality of your being, formed in God, in source, in the universe, before you ever manifested in this form. This is very important. You were all intent, you were all perfected, and you came into this form. So you do not have to search for what you're going to do. It's already in you, and it should flow effortlessly through you when you grasp that you were formed before God, before the foundations of the earth, if you want to get scriptural. It's very important that Jeremiah grasped that. And there was no script, okay? Religion, culture, peer pressure teaches us to have lists and a script. And like Joe Dispenza says, to create in matter by following a set linear path in time to arrive somewhere. I don't think that's going to be how it works anymore. I think intuitively we're going to know the essence of our being, and we're going to step out in the inherent synchronicities which are within us, and we're going to respond to the thoughts of God that are rising up, and they're going to rise up in images and sounds and vibrational realities and maybe some words, but they're going to be a knowing to step forth in that way. And to be formed, there's no script. You cannot pull this from anyone else's life. No one can tell you the right way to go and the wrong way to go, because your blueprint in the quantum field is not a script. It is potential, and it is many different aspects, many multifaceted aspects of your potential. There is a blueprint in the field from whence you came, and it is not a script that tells you how to work this out. So get that out of your mind. Become intuitive because you already are. So this blueprint of your essence is the knowing that before you were formed. So in essence, that makes people nervous because we're so used to a linear mindset. We're so used to being told what to do, how to do it, where to go, how to achieve this to get to the next step. What do I have to do? It's okay to be focused. But be focused in the intuitive nature of following the synchronicities of beyond your five senses, what God is showing you and revealing to you. So when I say there's no script, I mean that. Because to get to where I am today, where I am right now, there's no script. Everything in me wants to come onto these Facebook Lives and give you 10 points on how to do it. That is not going to happen anymore. It is up to you. It is up to each of you watching this to see what I say resonates with you and then to follow your own path of discovery. I can only put it out there, but if you think I'm going to work it for you, I'm not. I'm not going to show you the way. I'm not going to show you the truth. I'm not going to show you the life. I'm going to speak in energetic terms to help you find this way yourself. I could come alongside you, I can encourage you, but the only way you're going to find the way is when you know who you are and what makes you you. This is kind of phenomenal because it is giving us the freedom to walk forth. There's nothing more boring than being told how to accomplish anything. It zaps the creativity out of your being. So to be formed, when he said, what do you see? Before answering the question, Jeremiah had to really listen to what God was saying about who he was. So Jeremiah had to see when God said, I formed you. God said, I knew you. God said, I created you. God said, I ordained you. Those were all foundational statements of essence. They were not, you're going to do this. You're going to do that. This is what you're going to create. Before the creativity from your life comes the foundational reality of the essence of who you are. So I had to realize that if I'm not looking outside myself, then there's no form I'm looking for. There's no manifestation I'm looking for. There's no person I'm looking for. There's no way I'm looking for. So I'm looking inward because I am the form. That which I will manifest has been formed in me. I am in God. I am the form, the incarnation that God wants me to be. So I don't move contrary to myself. I am the form. I am the manifestation. I am the journey. And I lead out in I am. I lead out in those foundational realities of who I am. I am known. I am curious. I am spontaneous. I am adventurous. I am always searching. I am always learning. I'm always reading. And so I take all those qualities and I arrive in this point to help you and to encourage you to find out who you are. So I'm not looking for any form to manifest, to create in this 3D realm apart from who I am. For I am known before the foundations of the earth outside of space-time. And we're going to get into that in the coming days. The form of manifestation of my life, what I do with my life, activates within me before it is activated outside of me. I'll just say that again, because anyone can activate outside of themselves. We've done it for years. Religion has done it for years. We've activated everything in the ways in which someone told us in a hierarchy. We've become sometimes, please don't get mad at me when I say this. We have become ignorant at times. We've become dumbed down. We've become accepting of everything, and we have been steered away from finding out who we are in order to define ourselves by what someone else has always said, because freedom is threatening to people who are called to lead. Freedom opens a door to step alongside people and encourage them to be themselves without telling them every step along the journey. So Jeremiah would say, before I formed you, I knew you. So what does know mean? It means to be perceived. You see, in the quantum reality, we've been talking for months about, what I create my reality from what I observe. Okay, I am the observation and I'm creating my reality. Yes, that's true. It's a little bit more complex than that. See, God, okay, how do I say this? The more I study quantum, the more I look at the holographic properties of the universe. Now, let me stretch your mind. Don't look to understand always what I'm saying. Hear it by the spirit, by the energy. When I start studying sacred geometry and how God formed this universe, when I started looking at all the ancient symbols that have perpetrated themselves long before Christianity, when I see the eons of spiritual beings that have taught us over the years, Jesus being one quantum essential wisdom person, when I see all that, I realize that in today's Christianity, there is so much ignorance. Now, I'm not saying that from a hard heart. I'm not saying that judging. I'm looking at how ignorant I was in voicing the narrative, telling people to get saved, telling people to only believe in Jesus, telling people that there's only one way to salvation. I lived the narrative. I lived in the duality of a heaven or a hell, saved or unsaved. So I was so ignorant, and what Christianity did in my life, I don't know what it did in yours, but I'm speaking on this Facebook Live. What Christianity did in my life was dumb me down. Kind of left science by the side, left all the beautiful principles of nature and math and philosophy, and said, no, this is what you believe. So you get a bunch of sheep going in and out every week, never thinking for themselves. And when my deconstruction came, I realized I was everything my father, my earthly father, and my heavenly father always told me I was. And that was brilliant. And that was, I study and I learn and I catch things very quickly. And I felt like I had to always make excuses for that in many ways. First of all, because I was a prophetic woman in ministry and had men constantly leave when I was speaking. So I faced the rejection of that. And then the patriarchy, which dominates this ignorant Christianity, is always telling us what to think. So when I left it all and I started studying quantum and math and sacred geometry and Buddhism and symbols, and everything came alive. So what I would ask you to come out into that wide open field. But to do that, you are going to take the responsibility for your own essence. You are going to have to take the responsibility to grow as God wants you to grow. But we are here to broaden our perspective. And from this point forward, I have decided to just be me and to throw out all the brilliant words and to throw out all the concepts and to make them as simple as I can for you. So that is where I am. And I am so peaceful and so joyful because I'm moving into my essence. So when I am in the observer, folks, I didn't create the universe. I am in the ultimate observer, which Max Planck says it's the divine mind, which is God. I am in God, in the fullness of God, bringing forth all the things in me that are not yet awakened to be as God in this earth realm, to move in the essence of the energy in which God moves. Do you know that behind every physical form in the created universe is sacred geometry? Now that's a whole nother topic. So what do I hear right now? Oh, I hate math, I hate science. Well, then maybe you're not supposed to listen to me, because I'm going to make it really easy and break it down for me. There is sacred geometry in symbols of the circle, in symbols of three-dimensional forms that create the universe. And behind those three-dimensional forms are four-dimensional forms that on different planes and different dimensions of energy are creating the universe. Now, if God does that in nature, if the beauty and the intricacy of nature is formed in the essence of God, if our cells, in the very essence of some of the things we produce, are formed in sacred geometry, how much more can you believe that you are formed exactly in the image of God? And he is observing. God observes as we observe. And we are the observers of creating a reality. And the first reality we create in our own life is that I am known. I am known, I am perceived, I am formed, and nobody at any time, any way, anyhow can take away from me my authenticity and my sovereignty in Deborah being Deborah. So that is the essence of strength. Courage does not come from action. Courage comes from the acknowledgement of essence. You can be as brave as all hell if you know who you are, because you will then walk in humility and grace to speak as you are called to speak without having to defend, without having to justify, because your speech will be fashioned after your I am, and nothing can take away. So as the voices rise up of the forerunners, they don't mind if they're contradicted. They don't mind if they're not understood. They don't mind if there's disagreement, because you're starting to walk a path that is very firm in your I am, but also very pliable and malleable in the sense that you're evolving and you're changing, and there are thoughts in you processing as well as thoughts in you that have arrived in the energy. So you speak from the perfection of who you are, knowing that you are still being perfected. So that was a lot to say that. So let's talk about Jeremiah a little bit. I'm giving you a whole lot of things today, and to me it's okay. So let me slow down a little. The question asked of Jeremiah tapped into his deeper nature. I am formed, I am known, I am ordained, etc., etc. But he responded very quickly and said, but I'm only a youth. We all say that. I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm from this place, I don't have an education, I don't understand math. So we're constantly feeding into a fear narrative. So those thoughts of the abiding narrative that we're buying into are actually thought forms. We will talk about that in the days ahead. Many of you know they're egregores, they're archetypes of which we are buying into that strip a little bit away of who we are. So these thought forms are embedded in the collective consciousness. We know that, okay? So it's time not only just to know that, it's time not to just talk about that. It's time to change everything we are to be past that and to begin to create in a greater energy of light and love, because we are the answer. We are the form, we are the manifestation, we are the energy. We are changing. I am changing. I'm not looking for anyone else. So you live out a narrative that is contrary to the essence of your being. So before you're going to hear the intuitive nature inside of you say, what do you see? You need to hear, who am I? And that comes with time. Just take some time to sit quietly by yourself. Take some time to examine yourself past the trauma and the triggers and everything, and find out who you are. It all starts there. When you change your thoughts, you change your reality. I'm talking a lot about this. Many of you know this. This is a little bit repetitive today, and it's because here's why. First of all, as a teacher, I know that repetition is good. because we never actually grasp things the first time we hear it. Repetition builds on itself. So I'm on this path right now where I'm speaking and I'm forming the path in front of me and I'm speaking from process. So it becomes irrelevant to me that I arrive at a destiny because I'm just throwing out this resonant energy vibrating so that you can catch some of the things that I'm saying. So we all know you change your thoughts, you change your reality. Resources. Go to YouTube and watch things on Heart Math Institute. Go listen to Joe Dispenza. Go listen to Bruce Lipton. Go listen to Greg Braden because they have Lynn McTaggart, because they have been the forerunners in this. They've established a path whereby we now know that thoughts create our reality. So the mind, in the quantum field, the mind will broadcast the reality. The mind is a linear thinker. It will get the concepts and it will broadcast those concepts into the field, into the potential of the quantum field. This is electricity. Your thoughts of power. They can change your health. They can change your emotion. We'll mention those things in the coming days. So they are electrical, your thoughts, and they broadcast, whether they're negative or positive, they will broadcast into the field and draw back from the field the magnetization of what's resonating in your heart. You do not create just from the mind. We know that. Many of us know that. You engage your heart. It's heart coherence. I do not teach that. There's plenty out there to learn. When your mind and your heart are in coherence, it's access to the electromagnetic field. And when you broadcast something you see, an intuitive reality that you see. Now let me say this. I know I'm throwing out a lot. Intuition rises above this 3D realm. Intuition is based upon synchronicities, images, symbols, and vibrating energy. It's a whole new language. And when God speaks from the quantum field, it can be related to what's called a packed thought form. Let me explain. When God said to Jeremiah, I formed you, I know you, I ordained you, do you think Jeremiah was able to conceptualize that in a linear manner? Do you think when God was saying that within Jeremiah, all those things, do you believe they were flowing like, now Jeremiah talking inside, he's talking with God within. Think about every sentence. I formed you. I knew you. I ordained you. I sanctified you. That's not it. In the intuitive realm, you are hearing the packed thought forms of the mind of God that will come in images or will come in vibrational realities, a knowing. It will come in sounds, and it will come contrary to how you're dealing with your five senses in the 3D realm. So a packed thought form can come as a symbol. The circle with the singularity in the center has been a symbol for eons. Why do you think when we were in the church, we put everybody in the center of a circle? There's also different planes. And so just roll with me in this, because I know I've been studying this for weeks now. So this intuitive nature, when God spoke within Jeremiah, if you try to dissect what's being said to you in the quantum realm, with just a linear mind, you will never get anywhere because it's a whole different language. It's a language of energy. It's a language of blueprints. It's a language of essence. You can't enter that realm and conceive by the mind and try to understand it. So these packed things that God says within us, they're like open doors into wide open fields that we cannot comprehend. The limitlessness of what we've been told. So God looks at Jeremiah and he says, hey, guy, inside, I formed you, I knew you. Don't take this apart linearly. Don't try to figure out how you're going to do this. Because if you think about it linearly, you have denied the whole process of the blueprint in the quantum field. But think about it now and just receive it with your heart. Can you receive this, that when God is speaking to Jeremiah and he's saying, I formed you, I knew you, There was so much in those images that were being formed. There was so much energy flowing in Jeremiah at the time that maybe he backed away and said, I can't do this. I'm only a child. So I'm going to tell all of you, rather than back away what you think you're hearing inside, just be still and just let this packed thought form minister to you in visions and dreams and provide a path of light whereby you will walk contrary to your natural senses. That's another thing I'm learning in sacred geometry, that there are packed thought forms in the mind of God that come through with symbols, that have a language behind them, vibrational realities that are open doors to another dimension, images. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Dr. Kay was talking this week about the dream she had. I had a dream that blew my mind away this week. And it was all these different parts of the dream. And I asked 2 trusted friends, help me discern what this means. And they both read the energy and they showed me what this meant. And I was blown away because within the images of what I saw in the dream, there was a path to be discerned outside of a 3D realm, but I could not dissect it. I couldn't take the dream apart and dissect it with a linear understanding because it was in the field, in the blueprint. And the only way that I could dissect this dream to where it made any sense to me was to discern it within my intuitive nature. And sometimes what came out of the discernment, what came out of the knowing of the dream, was just a simple sentence that started me on a path of being courageous and brave. I hope this is making sense. I'm trying my best. So thought forms in this 3D realm hold our desired state of beliefs. How a person's thought are expressed will be shown in their speech. So I am only a youth, that Jeremiah said. That's opposition to the reality of what he was being shown from the quantum field. He opposed everything because it didn't make sense to his natural mindset. He was a youth. He was hardly capable of doing what he felt for the time. Don't call yourself a Jeremiah. He spoke to his time. And I don't even know how to interpret the whole book as to how historically accurate it was. I'm not going there. But if you're raised up as a forerunner, you're also going to encounter things that run contrary to who you think you are. And so he questioned it and said, and he had to get out of the narrative and move in the reality of what he was being called to do. So God gives these thought forms. God is the divine mind. Let's call it a higher macrocosm level that is not based in thinking in words, but in mental images and sounds and internal vibrational states that the heart receives. That is why Dispenza always says, with the mind you broadcast, with the heart you draw magnetically. You don't want to draw from the ego of the mind or the world. You want to draw that blueprint to you that is resonating in your heart. There is no greater reality than to walk in the reality of I am, whether people understand it or not. So what I perceive, I'll give you an example. What I have perceived for years was on the horizon. This is what I'm studying. This is what I love. And I made mistakes along the way. I tried this. It didn't work. But it all brought me to this point where there's this resonance inside of me that I know what to study and what not to study. And I don't know where it's going. I have no idea where this is going. And even today, it would be so easy for me not to do a Facebook Live because I don't have it all together. I don't have a way for you to walk. I'm not teaching a subject. That's not me. I'm throwing out vibrational realities that something I say is going to in you and go, okay, I grasp that because this is for you. So God is this divine mind, a higher macrocosm level that speaks through images and sounds and internal vibrational state. Now, let me just read what I wrote. We'll end in about 10 minutes. We're going to pick this up week by week. So if you don't understand the thing I'm talking about today, that's fine. Keep joining me. We're going to make this clear. I have been told by many people that I have a great way of breaking down the complex and making it simple. I don't feel qualified in that today, but that's because I'm entering this door and I'm not waiting till this door is fully open. I'm not waiting until I've got this all down. Part of the call in my life is to instill in you a curiosity. So I have to remain curious, and I have to open that door and step in a little bit and do this Facebook Live and say, hey, I don't have all this down, but take what you need of this. So this is what I said. The instantaneous transmission of a thought form contains densely packed information. The almond tree. What do you see, Jeremiah? I see an almond tree. The instantaneous transmission of a thought form from the mind of God contains densely packed information that will change your life. This is intuition. Seeing the symbol of the almond tree, he was not actually looking at an almond tree. He was looking at the fact that God said this symbol of this almond tree is an awakening from sleep. In the dead of winter, you're one of the first trees to wake up. So we call to the forerunners to say, what do you see? What is being sent to you? Because in the instance, you will begin to experience instantaneous transmissions of thought forms, whether they're in mental images or whether they're in sounds or whether they're in synchronicities. They will come from the mind of God, but that simple thought form will have within it the ability to move into a wide open field. Is this making any sense? That's why I'm saying you can't linearly dissect a thought form because it's packed with the eternal now of God. That thought form of that Jeremiah looking at that almond tree, it wasn't the end-all be-all finished product. Jeremiah was going to walk in the reality of that unfolding awakening through his whole life. It was densely packed information that was going to connect him to a higher reality. So when God speaks within me and shows me something, it is an instantaneous transmission of a thought form that contains densely packed information. And I cannot dissect that information with a linear knowledge. Jeremiah tried. I see an almond tree. What do you see? What are you seeing behind what you're seeing? So packed thought forms, listen, packed thought forms received in an open state contain huge amounts of embedded information. Let's talk about Jeremiah. When God said, what do you see? And Jeremiah was formed in the essence of the I am. In that thought form that God already had that reality in Jeremiah, it had to be spoken to Jeremiah in an open state in order to be received outside of a linear understanding. So was Jeremiah in an open state? He was getting there because previous to God saying this, God said, I formed you, I knew you, I've known you, do not fear. Just say what I need you to say. Don't look at their faces. This is who you're going to be. So this packed thought form had embedded in it, listen, a rise in consciousness. I should have started this way. I took 15 minutes. And now I'm just feeling this energy. Embedded in that thought form is a higher field of consciousness. That is the quantum field. That is a field of higher resonance. That is an intuitive field. That is a field of empathy that responds to the heart, not the mind. Because Jeremiah could have walked out and prophesied to high heaven all the crap he was hearing in his mind, but he had to respond in his heart. Again, I'm going to say this. Would you buy a field with an advancing army coming at you unless you knew that you were responding from your heart based upon an internal compulsion and resonance that has pulled you into a higher realm of consciousness to see beyond what you can see? Those are the decisions you're going to be making in the days ahead. They're not going to come from a mind that is looking at what is just being seen. You have to move contrary in a higher degree. So get ready for a lot of images, a lot of dreams. Why? Because God within us doesn't respond to our linear logic. He doesn't. We connect with the field through the images and the visions, but then we're taken higher through the heart. couple more things because I'm loving this. This is changing my life. So these thought forms, when they're spoken, and Jeremiah received the thought form, what it does is increases his biofield. Beyond time and space. It increases the biofield around Jeremiah. And then that biofield around Jeremiah becomes very sensitive and intuitive and empathic. That's why as God raises up forerunners, the thought forms of God's I am foundational encouragement will create an energy biofield. This is also sacred geometry, which we'll talk about in the days ahead, how to increase that energy, how to meditate and really increase your intuition, increase this energy in you, how to rise higher in consciousness. So this thought form, this biofield becomes very sensitive where you become, here it comes, the thought forms in the human biofield are visible to sensitives and intuitives who are simultaneously aware of both the dense and subtle bandwidths of reality. Hello, in the world, not of the world. Please stop denouncing Jesus for the things he said. Yeah, the Merkaba. Oh, this is so fantastic, guys. Don't get rid of Jesus. This guy, if you look at him accurately, when I was taking these classes on sacred geometry, my mind kept going back to all these incredible scriptures. Now, is this the only way? No, but it was my foundation. So I then started looking at Ezekiel. Remember the days in the prophetic? Even Ezekiel's vision of the temple was sacred geometry. This is so expansive that I can get so excited that I want to get it all out that I can. So let me end in this. You will become so sensitive when you start tapping into this through these packed thought forms that God gives you through a dream or God gives you through an image, or as you become more sensitive to the energy that you're emitting and the resonance of the energy around you, you will become so sensitive that it will help you discern subtle energies and dense energies. You will know the difference between love energy and fear. You will know the difference between joy and sorrow. So the thing is that you will be able to discern how to live in the world but not of the world, and how to navigate this plane without getting wrapped up in the narrative of a denser energy. This is where we're going. This is not this is just a given reality. This is not something that maybe will come or possibly will come. This is the way it's going. Okay, so let me end with this, and I'm going to review this all next week. Give me time. I'm not sure where this is all going, how to teach this, and I'm okay with that. So let me end with this, and I will end with this. I'm just going to read my notes. Eye has not seen nor ear heard what God prepares for those who love God. Love is an energy of the heart that draws a magnetic blueprint from the quantum field of manifestation into your life. Love is a powerful energy. It is the 0-point field, is the vibrational field of the universe. I am are doors that open through intuitive insights, packed thought forms, where they unveil within us the sounds, images, and vibrational energy and how to live in the world but not of the world at a higher level of consciousness. So in sacred geometry, we as humans are the microcosm of the macrocosm. We are within the all. Within all of us are the powers of God in latent sleeping form, which must be awakened and illuminated. We don't need a revival, folks. No. We need to be awakened and illuminated. Awakened. It is a subjective experience in which an individual's ego transcends their ordinary, finite sense of self to encompass a wider, infinite sense of truth or reality. This is not nebulous. This is not woo-woo stuff. This is the new reality. We've left all the literalism that almost destroyed us. We are now moving into a realm where there's no turning back. And illumination is increasing our internal light, which is the eternal manifestation of divine consciousness itself. Believe it or not, prophets received the innate ability to receive patterns. So, I'm not done. I'm just getting started. So ask me any questions. I'm just studying a lot. And I thank you for watching. I'm just grateful. I receive from you. You receive from me. We got to all get this together and form a fire ring of insight and intuitive revelation that there's so many things about the upper room, about things I'm learning. It's unbelievable. So what would I tell you today to end this? I don't know. I don't. Find your journey, find your path. And if you like what I'm saying, I will get clearer and clearer about some things. But I'm stepping out in the unknown without fully knowing where I'm going because I am a forerunner. And I'm going to say things that I am still processing. I hope I never get to the point where I have anything down anymore. I hope I'm always in journey. I hope I'm always in adventure. I hope I'm always in process, because when that happens, then I'm constantly moving, which allows me to receive what's in me as also what is within each of you. So I just help me out here. I hope this did something for you. This is what still tugs at my heart. The teacher, all that in me, I just want to have it all put together, and it is not. God, it is not. And so I'm releasing and releasing, and I thank you so much for listening. Listen into it again. I'll be back next week as I study more, and I'll be watching some of you. So I love you guys. Thank you for being part of this. Have a really good day and a great weekend.